Let's get into it. So, is this topic that we're talking about, future disruption, is it really, really that important? To me, it is the utmost importance. And what I have found to be true about the future of associations, studying it, is my passion. I love. So my question to you is, what does your radar screen look like with your board?
This part of the supply chain could just focus on itself, and this middle part could focus on itself, and the customers could focus on itself. But now we're also interconnected, that this part of the supply chain needs to be worried about what's going on in that supply chain, upstream and downstream, because we're also interconnected. Change happens and business models are going crazy within a year's time. How many of you ever heard of Oculus? So Oculus is virtual reality glasses. It's changing the way of training and video games and everything. Well, that technology was developed by a 20-year-old associate degree student, which Facebook bought out, I think, 2.5 years after he developed it for $2 billion. I mean, it's amazing how fast it's coming. It's not from these whiz people that sit in a room. It's coming from teenagers that are getting funding for these things. So today, I want you to really pay attention about what's going on, because I think I'm going to show you 4 visuals that, in my opinion, these 4 visuals, that anybody that pays attention to these 4 visuals and takes action on them are going to be able to weather the storm and lead the disruption going on in your industry. Anybody that hones in on those with the rule of 32 and 72 is going to have record numbers of whatever it is. Automotive industry, depending on what ride sharing does and the driverless car, they're going to have record numbers. Now let's talk about the economic driver. A lot of people are saying the economy is just not growing fast enough. Well, there's reasons for that. The reasons it's growing at 0.25% is because the baby boomers, when they were 32 to 70, the 80s and 90s were one of the most materialistic ages of our history. Why? Because the baby boomers were all in their highest income earning years for 20 years. And when we had a downturn, the downturn went like this. Within a year, it went up farther than where we were before. The reason the downturn has been the slowest ever is because Gen X is between 33 and 52, the highest incoming years of our earning life. There are 13% less than, there's 10 million fewer Gen Xers buying homes, buying cars, buying computers, buying cell phones, buying groceries, buying everything. If we had 10 million more people in the economy, I tell you it'd be way more than 0.25% growth last quarter. It'd be probably 1 or 2%. So people aren't looking at the function and numbers of how many people are driving the engine that's pushing the economy. So I say that to give you hope that as Gen Y, over the next 10 years, we're going to see momentum like you've never heard before, because as soon as Gen Y gets to be 22 to 42 and they're all in the workforce, all making money at some level, we're going to see some incredible. We're going to talk about the whys, whos, and whats of Uberization, because a lot of people make this out to be so complicated, and it really is not. When you look at Uberization in of itself, Uberization does 3 things. It removes friction, stress, and anxiety from some business model. So when you're looking at your association, you need to ask yourself, what friction exists in doing business with us? What stress do our members have in being a member? What anxiety do they have in their business? If you can find out where the stress, friction, and anxiety is in your member companies in 3 areas, and I'm going to share those in a second, you will drive high value if you can offer solutions in those. Now, I think we've been asking the wrong question for decades. What keeps you up at night? When someone asks you what keeps you up at night, what you answer is through the eyes of, I think my business is doing fine. We run it good. We got it going on. But they're struggling, and it keeps him up at night. When he says, I can't earn enough profit to pay my employees well. Well, you can't earn enough profit because your quality is not high enough so you can charge enough to your customers so you can get enough money in. That's the friction. You have a stress level in your company. So you need to be asking people, when you ask what is stress, friction, anxiety that exists in your business model, all of a sudden you have to say, well, you know what? Our salespeople aren't really all that good. It makes you look internally at so you need to ask yourself in these areas.
This has ramifications to so many industries in here, it's not funny. And they're not good for many of them. They really want to go back to the boards and say, does the association and the leadership really understand our consumer, our customers' demands? Because that's what's driving it upstream. But think about if the Taxi Cab Association had 8 years ago, someone had listened and said, you know what, the technology's there. We could own a thing called Uber if we really tried. Do you want your value proposition in your association to be, we're fighting for you, we're fighting city governments, we're spending all your reserves, all your money, fighting for you? Or do you want to be the group that's on the front of collaboration, and you're on the front of the technology when that's hitting us, and you actually might develop the disruption, you might lead the disruption? I think this is the key for every association with their leadership and looking out into the future. I think it's imperative that you really look at them and ask them, are we making the right decisions?